This is Mich Monk coming to you with another episode of the podcast. Today I'm going to talk to Kate. So we're going to begin right away. Dear Kate, hopefully I'm catching you when you're relaxing in your quiet time. Needed a few minutes of chit-chat and I don't really have time to make an appointment and make this all formal. So instead I'm going to take a seat right here and sip on my tea. I know when I start talking, you'll be focused on the messenger and not the message. So let me break it down for you. I'm a Brit girl, adopted by Brit parents, and my birth mom and my half-siblings are Brits who still live in England. For the record, we don't do the whole half-sibling thing. We're family. That means you and I fly the same flag. So I'm going to talk, you can listen, because I have a lot to say. Since I didn't bring any visual aids to help with messaging, I'm going to rely on Mr. James Baldwin for his assistance. You see, August 2nd was his birthday, so he and his insightful commentary are on my mind, considering the dumpster fire that our clown in charge is allowing to rage out of control. So let's get back to James. He was born in 1924 and died in 1987. He's considered an iconic novelist, playwright, and essay writer born in Harlem, New York. He's the writer of numerous works addressing class, race, and sexuality, and was also a participant in the civil rights movement. As a result, the FBI amassed a 1,884-page file on him. So he's a pretty important participant in the fabric of our global community, and more so for his critical message about the American democracy. And today, he's going to be instructive to unmasking your acts of complicity against Meghan. And he will be instrumental as I hold up the mirror so you can reflect on your loss of self. I understand you're currently a person of status as Duchess and Princess by marriage and in line to sit on a throne. But I first want to talk to the young teen self, the awkward teenager who's coming into her own. Remember her? Those battle with pimples that strategically land on the tip of your nose or in the middle of your forehead right before school photos? Or whether the boob fairy will ever give you boobs, but not too much boobs? Or please God, don't let my first menstrual period happen at school? Or getting the diagnosis that you'll be wearing those painful braces for a year or two? All the experiences we feel that will last a lifetime and that they'll trigger insecurities. This is also the time when you're enjoying friendships and sharing with those friends a sense of excitement dotted with moments of dread about getting through high school. And your dreams flourish, imagining yourself in certain universities, getting certain jobs, living in certain cities, enjoying friendships that have lasted over the years because you swear that you'll be best friends forever. For the most part, you don't think about what you won't accomplish. Failure isn't weighing on you too much, and with your family's net worth, you're not really worried about affording university or getting that first apartment to act like a self-sufficient working girl. And as we know, you successfully entered university, and again you blossomed into a happy young woman who seemed confident in herself. You've established yourself with the social elites because your family and friends' connections firmly placed you in that bubble. But the biggest part of your experience was hooking up with William. And, I understand. But he also opened up even more exclusive doors to you and your family that you could never have imagined on that stage of the awkward teenager. You and William were on, then off, then on again. You were hounded by the press. Your mother entered the picture and failed miserably to measure up under scrutiny. And your future brother-in-law stepped up to protect you. He spoke out on your behalf and without restraint, exuberantly showing his support and friendship by constantly being at your side. But that fun-loving, confident woman before the royal net trapped you underwent a metamorphosis in front of the flash of cameras and caustic headlines. Now, as more details are uncovered about what Meghan underwent, we know that your change also occurred under the firm's handlers, and probably under the advice and observation of your husband. Because guess what? He also changed, and now he's just an odious, pompous bully. Some describe your change as a personification of grace, because you're poised and conservative. You can remember the litany of royal protocols and readily defend the standards. Your acquiescence to the royal brand warms the Queen's sensibilities. You've worked hard to turn into the Hollywoodized princess, with an insipid smile, an empty gaze, and hollow, boring shell. You have become a mannequin to be brought out for photo ops with children, ensuring that you hug the brown or black child to showcase royals as nurturing to their subjects. You are brought out to talk about mental health beside your husband when your mental health seems not to be a priority. Because frankly, you look like life has sucked you dry. But unlike many, you have the means and access to get the best treatment. So let's address the woman you are today. I'm wondering if you're planning to be this expected phenomenal force of change or progressive influence once you're on the throne. Because, boy, you are wasting so many opportunities to be that in between this time. Doesn't mean that the media won't continue to be kind to you and give you the benefit of the doubt of your capabilities so that you can brag about your non existent influence. But you know the truth. In those quiet moments that you have sacrificed a lot for your marriage, the royal family, and its institution, and what you currently want is some acknowledgement of that fact. You want praise heaped upon you. You want to be cradled to the bosoms of your British women that you have excelled as a model of modern femininity. And you want to be popularized by your British men as a good, obedient royal wife. Those low-reaching milestones don't build character, hun. They bury your identity and have cultivated the snobbery and supremacy that, because of British history and culture, were always there in that awkward teen as dormant seeds. And maybe under different circumstances, or with rugged self-examination, those seedlings could have been eradicated like invasive weeds. Instead, you've been given the grand coveted stage to activate thriving poison ivy that drills down its roots into your core. You've become one of the main characters in the game of destruction of Harry and Meghan. Now, remember I said that I'd use James Baldwin to help me out. So here's a quote from James. A civilization is not destroyed by wicked people. It is not necessary that people be wicked, but only that they be spineless. I'll repeat. A civilization is not destroyed by wicked people. It is not necessary that people be wicked, but only that they be spineless. And you, Kate, have been spineless within your marriage, about defining your identity, and for your lack of support in its various iterations of betrayal against Meghan and your dear friend Harry. Think on that. It takes being wicked and spineless. I went through the scenario about your awkward teen years to remind you how vulnerable and fragile we are growing up in a world that is hardwired for cis men and their egos. From girl child to woman, we learn quickly that we are better in solidarity than each other, with each other than without. That we can lift each other to the next level as united feminists rather than step on each other's backs, shoulders, heads to get ahead. But that's a textbook version of what should happen. As I had written on Megapedia about author Emily Giffin's feminine toxicity, white women have driven the narrative about how feminism would be shaped and celebrated while on the backs of what women of color have endured at greater levels. The idea of sisterhood by those women who have not socially evolved is conditional when dealing with others who don't fit their comfortability. The Commonwealth event showcased how hypocritical your version of sisterhood is with how you dished out disdain for Meghan. You have sat next to and in the company of dictators, rulers with history of misogynistic laws and practices, rapists, and pedophiles. You have taken photos with them, shaken their hands, laughed and chatted about inconsequential matters. Inconsequential because from the lack of evidence of any accomplishments you've had, you don't seem to have two intelligent brain cells to rub together. But you've dressed up and put on that Hollywoodized princess hairdo and clothes and become royal upon demand. So to walk into an event, one of the last for Harry and Meghan as senior royals, and who are president and vice president of the related charity, and sit your narrow behind on a chair without acknowledging them with a face that could sour milk because you are cross, you are beside yourself, you're insulted by wrongs that don't affect you, is bad form. Nothing they did changes the order of succession, affects your charities, stops you from being trotted out as the favorite horse from the royal stable. And yet, you couldn't crack that skeletal line face to smile, nod, or just simply wave. So let me insert James Baldwin here to emphasize why Meghan in a glorious green dress and Harry in his custom designed suit marched the heck out of that church and back to Canada. Allegiance, after all, has to work two ways, and one can grow weary of an allegiance which is not reciprocal. Kate, here, take this mirror, hold it up, and let more words from James play like an overhead intercom. Quote, "It has always been much easier, because it has always seemed much safer, to give a name to the evil without than to locate the terror within. Truth, you are scared of Meghan. You're scared of her accomplishments, her dedication, her forthrightness, her emotional maturity, her life experiences and intelligence, her popularity, and her beauty. Look at how many ways and times you've copied her style. And having her as your model of evil covers what you lack and the fragility of your ego." James, quote, right here, "It is certain, in any case, that ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." I'll repeat that. It is certain, in any case, that ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have. And you have a reservoir of ignorance from the privilege, from wealth, from influence, to be a formidable foe. But only in your mind, because neither you, the firm, and its paid hyenas, nor your friends in the media have the might against destiny or karma. Meghan will continue to confuse you and outdo you. The truly objective media will unravel your role and your husband's in this play on the grand stage. And the Sussex squad will not let up on shining a light on you and your husband's sketchy behaviors and actions. Insert here James Baldwin's quote. "There are so many ways of being despicable, it quite makes one's head spin. But the way to be really despicable is to be contemptuous of other people's pain. And you, Kate, have a lot to answer for as a person who showed no compassion for Meghan, especially during her pregnancy. And that slow roll visit to seeing Archie? Girl, please. No one needs you to pretend to be Meghan's best friend, but you don't have to be the mean girl with your squad who sits at the cafeteria table and prevents other girls a seat at the same table." So, here's James again. "People who treat other people as less than human must not be surprised when the bread they have cast on the waters come floating back to them poisoned. One day, Betty will die, Charles will step up, and the media will be on your back with their headlines. You could have had Meghan and Harry be in your corner, not just because of the royal protocol, but with an air of genuine solidarity. But you and your husband blew it for, and here's a quote, the sea rises, the light fails, lovers cling to each other, children cling to us. The moment we cease to hold each other, the moment we break faith with one another, the sea engulfs us and the light goes out. I wonder if you have the capacity to dig deep and self correct, or will you feast on playing the victim and tending to William's tender ego to stay a sad parody of a queen in the 21st century? By now, you've probably stopped listening to me. But guess what? It's recorded for that moment when you've had character growth to hear the truth. I will close with my final James quote. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hate so stubbornly is because they sense once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. I said what I had to say, so good day to you, dear Kate. Now, folks, don't forget to check out our latest fundraiser, Camp Fed, in tribute to Meghan and Harry's birthdays. Camp Fed is an international, non-governmental, non-profit organization founded in 1993 whose mission it is to eradicate poverty in Africa through the education of girls and the empowerment of young women. Camp Fed programs operate in Zimbabwe, Zambia, Ghana, Tanzania, and Malawi. Over 90% of every dollar Camp Fed spends goes to the programs. Lucky recipients will be able to attend a one-year vocational training course, and our donations have been, we've hit about 46,000. So yes. So please follow them on Instagram. It's CAM as in Mary, F as in Frank, ED as in dog. And donate if you can, because a little goes a long way. So on that note, this is Mich Monk signing out. Until we meet again, Ubuntu means I am because you are.